I hope you're all ready for a new learning goal. Now we're looking at standard EE1 still, but we're going to call this one EE1.c. In order to be successful under this standard, you need to be able to evaluate an expression given a set of values. So let's get to what that means. The word evaluate means find the value. When you evaluate, you're just finding the value. Another way to say this would be just solve. No, yellow pen isn't the best choice on this green. That's okay. So now look at this example. Evaluate the expression 3f minus 4 if f equals 5. So remember, 3f minus 4 by itself. F could be anything. F could be 1. F could be 17. F could be 8,032,000. You could plug in any value for f and get a value. When we evaluate an expression, we're given a specific value to plug in, and then we plug it in and just solve. Figure out what the value of the expression is given the value that you're given. So the main thing that you have to remember is just plug it in. And then what becomes important is that you still need to follow order of operations. So when we plug it in, we need to remember, what does 3f standing next to each other? First, let me tell you what it does not mean. 3f minus 4 does not mean 3, write a 5 next to the 3 and then subtract 4. 3f is not 35. No, 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 no. Now let's say what it is. We know that 3f means 3 times whatever the value of f is. So we need to write it as 3 parentheses and then a 5 for f, and then minus 4. Looking at this problem, order of operations says multiply first, then we're going to subtract. Multiply 3 times 5, we get 15, and 15 minus 4 is 11. So the answer, or the value of 3f minus 4, when f is 5, the value is 11. Okay, let's do some more examples. Now look, we've got 3 examples. All of them involve the letters A, B, C, and D, although actually none of these have a C in them, so we don't need that. But we're given values for A, and for B, and for D. What do we need to do? We need to plug in those values. So we're going to keep the 14. Now instead of writing minus A, we're going to write minus 10 because that's what the problem tells us that A is equal to. And instead of writing plus B, we're going to write plus 8 because that's what the problem is telling us to use the value of B. Now we just proceed. Order of operations says, look at what you've got. We've got a subtract and an add. Add and subtract are considered the same operation, so we just need to do those steps from left to right as they appear. 14 minus 10 is 4. Bring down plus 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. So the value of this expression, given these values for A and B, the value is 12. Okay. 2b minus d, where b is equal to 8 and d is equal to 12. Remember from the first example that 2b does not mean list a 2 with whatever b is equal to standing next to each other. When you have a number and a variable standing next to each other, the operation that's there is multiplication. So we're going to write 2 times 8 for b. We substituted an 8 in for b, minus the value of d, which up there says is 12. Okay, we've got a multiplication problem and a subtraction problem. Order of operations says multiply first. So 2 times 8 is 16. Bring down the minus 12. 16 minus 12 is 4. So the value of this expression, 2b minus d, given b is 8 and d is 12, the value is 4. One more example. The expression given is 5a plus 4b. Remember, a and b could be anything. In this specific problem, they want us to use a equals 10 and b equals 8. So, 5a, 510, is that correct? No, a 5 standing next to an A does not mean write 5 and then the number that A stands for. It means multiply. So 5A is going to be translated as 5 times 10. And then again, we have 4B. Are we going to write 48 because B is 8? No. We're going to write 4 times 8. That got a little bit squishy. I'm going to rewrite it so that it looks a little bit nicer. I'll try to write a little smaller. So not times plus 48, but rather plus 4 times 8. A little bit better. Order of operations says, what do we have here? We've got a multiplication, an addition, and a multiplication. So what comes first? Multiplication. 5 times 10 is 50 plus 4 times 8. Now what steps are left? We have, again, an addition and a multiplication. We need to do that multiplication first. Bring down the 50 and the plus sign. 4 times 8 is 32. 50 plus 32 is 82. So the value of this expression, given A equals 10 and B equals 8, is 82. All right, let's do some more challenging examples. Again, we have A's, B's, and C's. This time we do have C, and then we're given a value for A, a value for B, and a value for C that we're going to use in all three examples. Now, your homework isn't always going to have the same value for A, B, and C. You might have a different A in each problem. You just need to use whichever the problem tells you to do. Okay, let's see if we have room to do all these. This first one, I want to read the problem to you, and I want you to look at the problem while I read it so that we're in the habit of knowing how to say these problems. We would say 3 times the quantity 4A minus 3C all over C minus 4. Now, let's plug in the values for A, B, and C and see what we get for a total value. Bring down the 3 times 4A, where we know A is 6. Remember, we're not going to write 46. We're going to write 4 times 6. And I'm actually going to turn this into 2 parentheses, a big parenthesis and a little parenthesis. Minus 3 times 7. Not 37, but 3 times 7. And then close the big parentheses and write that all over C. Nope, not C. I'm substituting in. So not C, but rather 7 minus 4. Now, this is a tricky one. Let's take some time to think about what should come first. Order of operations says do what's in parentheses first. So we've got these big parentheses, and we need to work our way out from the big parentheses. So the next step that we're going to copy down is going to be, we're going to keep the 3 times, and we're going to execute both of the multiplications that are in there. 4 times 6 is 24, and 3 times 7 is 21. So we took all of what's in here, 4 times 6 minus 3 times 7, and we changed it to 24 minus 21. It's still 3 times all of that, and it's still all over 7 minus 4. We still need to simplify those parentheses one step further. So 24 minus 21, we're going to keep the 3 that's outside the parentheses. 24 minus 21 is equal to 3. 7 minus 4 we can simplify as being 3. 3 times 3 is 9 over 3 equals 3. So a lot of steps that all get us to a value of 3. So the value of this expression, when you plug in these values, is 3. Delete all of this. Hopefully you followed along, and if you didn't, you're going to go back, you're going to rewind a little bit, and you can pause and make sure you get all the steps shown, but I do need to erase it so I can do this next problem. Okay, that one's done. 12b minus 2c minus 4 over a plus 4. Let's go through and rewrite this problem with all the values substituted in for the variables. 12b we're going to write as 12 times 3. 12 times 3. Minus, and we're going to keep that fraction bar there for now, 2c we're going to write as 2 times 7 minus 4. And the bottom of the fraction is a plus 4. So we're going to substitute 6 for a plus 4. Oh, so much to be done here. So let's go through and say we have no parentheses, because remember, if you just have a parentheses holding on to a number, that's not the same thing. That just means multiply. There are no exponents. We have multiplication, multiplication. This whole thing is division. But remember, when you have a quantity divided by a quantity, you need to get the value of each quantity before you can divide. So the first thing we need to do is these couple of multiplications here. 12 times 3 is 36, minus 2 times 7 is 14, minus 4, over 6 plus 4 is 10. We can go ahead and simplify that. And then we've got 36 minus whatever the value of all of this is. So we need to simplify this fraction even further. We need to say that this is really 36 minus 14 minus 4 is 10 over 10. 10 over 10 is just equal to 1. So the value of this is just 36 minus 1, which is 35. That was definitely a trickier one. But again, if you follow order of operations and just work your way through, you'll be just fine. Now I gotta delete all this stuff so that we can do that last problem. Okay, the last problem that's here says 15AB all over 3C plus 6. So 15AB all over 3C plus 6. We need to substitute the values for A, B, and C. 15AB means 15 times the value of A, which is 6, times the value of B, which is 3. 15AB is not 1, 5, 6, 3. No, no, no. The A and B standing there mean multiply. They don't mean just write the number. So we have this value of 15 times 6 times 3 divided by the value of 3 times 7 plus 6. I'm going to kind of work backwards because that's the way I have room. 15 times 6 times 3, I'm going to do commutative property of multiplication says I can do these two first, and I'm going to have 15 times 18. I don't have a calculator, so I'm going to do my arithmetic up here. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 1 plus 4 is 12. 0 placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 1 is 1, and add those together, and I get 270. Okay. So the value of the top part of that fraction, 15 times 6 times 3, is 270. And the value on the bottom is going to be 21 plus 6. So 270 over 27. A little division trick here. 270 is 27 times 10, right? So if we divide out the 27 out of top and bottom, what's left is a 10 on top and a 1 on the bottom. So the value here is just 10. That one was another good, tricky one. The value of this expression, when you plug in a 6 for A, a 3 for B, and a 7 for C, is 10.